Hello, BookTube. As you can see, it's time for another big edition of the haul. No, I'm kidding. This is probably going to be one of the last ones of the year. I know I said that before, but I hit the last bunch of library sales I'm going to check out. Unless something really interesting pops up, I don't even know how much thrifting I'm going to get done. But a lot of books, not a lot of time to go through them, so let's get started. Thrift stores, library sales, and a few from a used bookstore. Wishbone, Be a Wolf. Wishbone, this is the first Wishbone book. Yeah, there's the one up there in the corner. So Wishbone was a program from the 90s that was designed to acquaint kids with the classics. I used to watch it when I would come home from work. It was fun. It was light. I really do like the fact that they tried to interest kids in the classics. So I found this at a thrift store for 50 cents or something. Picked it up. Same place I picked up this, Rock Wives. Yeah, this just looked interesting once again. It was cheap. Same place. Barbie Wood's Doll Eyes. Now she is one of those Paperbacks from Hell authors, and I didn't have a copy of this book. And it looked in pretty good condition, so I grabbed it. Paperback from Hell, same place. Hardback copy of Catacombs by John Ferris. I do have a paperback copy that's not in great condition, so this was $1, and I said yes. One of my favorite authors, who I've met several times and is a super great person, Megan Abbott, and this is one of my favorite of her books. This one and Queen Pin are probably my two favorite books by her. Found a copy of this at our reuse center. Looks unread. This is going to go to a good home at some point. So, great book. It's a crime thriller. It's about a girl who vanishes and what happens. Well worth checking out. Megan's got a lot of buzz with her books in the last year, and she was also one of the writers for The Deuce. So if you see her stuff and it seems at all interesting, please check her out. A lot of you booktubers that are younger and like stuff like Girl on the Train or Gone Girl, definitely give Megan Abbott a read. All right, Cory Doctorow's Little Brother X. Don't know much about the man, but this looked like it was in good condition, and I got it for $50 or so. Okay, let's get some paperbacks. Ed McBain, 87th Precinct. I've been reading these. These are great. Police procedurals. Not only a snapshot of crime writing of the time they were written, but of publishing, because they tend to get thicker. The one I just finished from 1970 was 160 pages. This one is almost 300 pages long. So McBain stuff is always worth checking out. He's an author that's in danger of being forgotten, but it's well worth your time. By the way, McBain's best movie adaptation is the movie High and Low by Kurosawa. So that's a great movie, and if you want to read what Kurosawa was inspired by, McBain's a good place to start. A lot of people talk about Westerns and American films ripping off Kurosawa stuff. Kurosawa was riffing on American crime. You look at Yojimbo, that's a riff on Dashiell Hammett. High and Low is an adaptation of, I think it's Killer's Payoff, King's Ransom, something like that. I'd have to look it up, by McBain. So his stuff is definitely worth checking out. Okay. Also, Michael Moorcock, Chronicles of Coram. It was like 50 cents or whatever. So I read a lot of his stuff when I was in high school. Not a lot. A fair amount in junior high, and never got back to most of it. So I've been looking to check out some of his other work. I have a big stack of his books. I think I've shown them before. Random Early Deathlands. I read all of these once upon a time. Sometimes I get nostalgic. I've only got, I think, the first two in the series left, so I picked this up. I've never read any Michael Crichton. This is a good condition copy of Terminal Man. So if I shouldn't say never. I've read some of the hard case crime stuff that they republished, but some of these books that he wrote under his own name that became big hits I didn't read, so I figured I'd want to check that out at some point. My buddy got me this, Gorky Park. Martin Cruz Smith. Never read any of his stuff. I know of his work. I've been looking for some of his early work, so I figured, maybe we'll get around to this. 400 pages. I don't know. We'll see. I'm turning into a page count snob. Michael Conley. This is an early Bosch novel and probably an early printing. St. Martin's Press. I grabbed that. Bill Pronzini. This won't be the last one of his books I showed today. Masks. I've read one of the Nameless Detective novels and enjoyed it. And I need some water, so I'm going to do the David Michael thing here. And yes, I do have a glass of water next to my laptop, but I am very secure in that it's not going to spill. I showed the 52 Westerns, 52 Weeks. Picked up a copy of Old Yeller. I know I'm going to get all weepy at the end. It's a classic. I've never read it. This is the kids' book that they featured in that book. Okay. More paperbacks from hell. Blue World. Robert McCameron. Robert Randisi's No Exit from Brooklyn. I love that cover. I need to get the stickers off of this thing. He's an author who I interact with slightly online, but whose work I've wanted to check out. Paul F. Wilson, I've got quite a stack of his books at this point. Paperbacks from Hell era type stuff. I think this is a Repairman Jack story. Paperbacks from Hell, Night Terror by Adrian Lee. This is a zebra suspense novel. Ira Levin's Son of Rosemary. I've not read Rosemary's Baby, but I picked up a copy of it recently, and I saw this. Pretty good condition, so I snagged it. This looks really, really jinky, as we used to say. The dark. Yeah, maybe I'll give that a shot. Maybe I won't. We'll see. The Maneater. Animal Attacks novels. I've never read any of them. I know they're a thing, so I saw this. I was at a library sale that they had like a 25 paperbacks for $1, so I snagged that. Another Martin Cruz Smith book that I snagged, Nightwing. I just love the cover of this, and this looks like also paperback from hell territory stuff. As does this. They say right on there, Ireland's Answer to Stephen King. Paperback from hell territory here. Soul Catchers, just that cover. And it actually says horror on the spine. More of that. The Disciple, look at that cover. Chelsea Quinn Yarborough, Messages from Michael. That's a great cover. Some dog. One of our dogs is scratching at my door. I'm not going to let them in right now. We'll continue on the Paperbacks from Hell train. I'm going to have some more Brian Lumley showing up here when I get to the books that are up here. But there's Blood Brothers. Yeah, let's go with the big one. Mammoth Book of Terror. You can see the authors here. Robert Bloch, Ramsey Campbell, Brian Lumley, F. Paul Wilson. There's more on the back. Yeah, I grabbed this. I figure I want to read some Robert Bloch, some UB Cave. And who else is on there? Carl Edward Wagner, somebody whose work I've been wanting to check out. Manly Wade Wellman. So, yep, grabbed that. I did not pay $10 for this. I think I paid 50 cents for it. All right, where are we going from here? Hillary Queen's Golden 13, Anthology of Crime Stuff. Lois Duncan, A Gift of Magic. My buddy also got me this at one of our stops, The Martian. I've not read it. Another Deathlands that's totally screwed up, but still readable. I don't think I paid much for this, 25 cents or 50 cents. Stage Fright with one of these covers. So, Paperback from Hell territory. I don't buy a lot of these, but I grab them sometimes when I see them for cheap. Stony Man. Some people really like that Mac Bolan stuff. Jim Harrison, Michigan author, wrote about the UP. Legends of the Fall is the book of his that was turned into a movie. Never read any of this stuff, but I really should, so I grabbed this nice trade. Copy of The Naked Lunch. Longmire. And yet another copy of a Robert Galbraith book. This is the second one, Silkworm, and trade paperback. So now I have both of them in paperback and in hardcover. So I can actually, I think these are better size for reading. Fortune Cookie Chronicles, The Adventures in the Wild World of Chinese Food. Yet another copy of 3 Days in January. If I see these for $1 or $2, I'm going to pick them up. And I'm going to give them away or I'm going to hand them off. Read Carol Coleman, up-and-coming crime writer, well worth your time to check out. Wow, this is going to go long. David Morrell, Testament. Nothing Feels Good, Punk Rock Teenagers and Emo. Some Larry Block. Ariel. Bill Pronzini's Nameless Detective, and one other bunch of ex-library books, but hey, I think they were 50 cents or something each. Okay, moving along. Novelization for White Palace, or the book this was based, the book it was based on. Same thing with the Raggedy Man. Deadshot, this looks like 80s adventure stuff. Don't know much about this. My buddy said it was cool, so kind of cyberpunky, steampunky stuff. Copy of the Rock Critic Murders. I already had a copy of this, but I pick up any GC sublet stuff I find that's affordable. Put that right up there. Roger L. Simon's The Straight Man. I got this. Shinjuku Shark. This is a noir police series set in Japan. I read the other one in this series that's been published in English, and I enjoyed it, so I got this. Eric Burden's autobiography, or book on Eric Burden, big Animals fan, so I wanted to check that out. All right. One of my favorite of the Parker novels. I found this at a used bookstore. This relatively inexpensive, so I snagged that. There was a bunch of Westlake stuff. I gave it The Office, Brother's Keeper, with one of these covers. Gangway, his Western with Brian Garfield. I found a copy of The Baroness #1. I probably paid too much money for it because it's not in great condition, but I don't see these in a while. Copy of Peter Reeves, The Big Girl in a Big Brass Bed. Revenant. A couple more of these Sparkle Hater books. I have a bunch of these. I need to read them. They look interesting. That's why I keep grabbing them. One of the Sam Durrell assignment novels. A bunch of the Trace books. I already have these, but I need to make sure that I've got them all. And these were like 20 cents a piece. All right, we're getting there. Lonely Planet Boy. You name your book after a New York Dolls song, and it's 50 cents. I'm probably going to buy it. Never read a V.I. Wachowski novel, so this is the first one, and this is in trade size, so I figured I'd snag that. This looked cool. Hit List by Larry Block. I like the Keller books. I need to get back to reading them, so I grabbed another one. Warrior by Joe Haldeman. This is the author of The Forever War, and I believe this is about his actual experience in Vietnam. Anthology of short stories by science fiction people. You can see all the names there. There were a couple people, Michael Moorcock, J.G. Ballard, those kind of people whose stuff I wanted to check out and read. Another science fiction anthology. Some Brian Lumley books. More Paperback from Hell nonsense. Copy of Cujo. The Exorcist. I did not have this one. A hardback copy of The Glow, which is also Paperbacks from Hell. I have the paperback. I think the hardcovers need to be more conductive to reading. Last Full Measure. This is the son of the guy that wrote Killer Angels. Snag that. I've never really been into Andrew Vachis, but I figured I'd give one of his early ones a try again. The one I tried to read was way too dark when I was reading it. Copy of Why Me by Donald Westlake. Alternative Generals 1 and 2 short stories about alternative history stuff. All right, what do we got here? Hey, look, Michael McDowell's Rain. Paperbacks from Hell. Now I only need number 5. Michael McDowell again, this time writing with another guy. This is an action-adventure series that he wrote in the early 80s. I love that cover. I had to grab it. I had to get this off of eBay. Looking forward to reading that. Sniper with Introducing Giant John Jericho. This looked like crazy pants, like late 60s mysticism nonsense. So, of course, for a dime, it was coming home. another copy of Rebecca. This one's in really good shape. I've never read this, but it's a classic. All right, and I don't remember if I've shown these, so we're just going to go through them real quickly. Another copy of Rebecca. Spy in the Shadows. These are short stories. Figured I'd check out some of those. Death Merchant. Never read a Death Merchant, so now I've got one. Conspiracy Theory. And finally, I think I talked about this before. So I'm just going to show it again. And all this stuff will get filed, and hopefully we won't see it again. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Too many books. Be a while, hopefully, before I have enough to do another one of these. I'll catch you all next time.